Okay, so while we might hate to admit it, most of us have stared at someone or something longer than is socially acceptable. And if you've been caught, you know how massively embarrassing it can be. However, for these unlucky folk, a camera flash captured their awkward staring, and the internet made it so everyone can see it. Here are 10 people who got caught staring. If you frequently find yourself staring at your computer screen wondering if the richest has uploaded a new video, never fear. Just join our notification squad and you'll be the first to know when we do. Katy Perry. While most of the people on our list are regular people, sometimes celebs can't resist taking a peek at an attractive person either. And because they're so often surrounded by cameras, you think they'd be a little more stealthy about it. At the 2013 Grammys, it seemed as though nobody was capable of tearing their eyes away from Katy Perry. Even Elton John was caught having a stare, although he was just admiring her exquisite wardrobe choices, we're sure. It even looks like the gentleman standing behind them is staring as well, although from this angle, it's hard to tell if he's staring at Katy or Elton. However, the best picture of someone staring at Katy that evening was this photo featuring Ellen DeGeneres flat out gawking at Katy Perry's cleavage. Despite the fact that Ellen's beautiful wife, Portia de Rossi, is standing right beside her, it looks like Ellen needs to work on her poker face a bit. At least Portia seems more amused than put off by her wife staring, while Katy is polite enough to pretend not to notice. Either that or she's just so used to people staring at her, she actually doesn't notice anymore. From the eyes of babes. While it's even more embarrassing to be caught staring as an adult, sometimes children can get away with it. After all, they still have a long way to go in terms of developing social skills, and sometimes their ability to become transfixed is nice, like when putting on an episode of Paw Patrol buys you some much-needed me time. However, in this photo, one little boy doesn't seem to be looking at the camera for some reason. Perhaps he was trying to glance over at his brother, only to have been obscured for a couple of reasons. Even the girl in the background seems to have an "are you kidding me" facial expression. In this next image, we see an even younger little boy surrounded by lovely ladies, although he seems to be quite enamored with one waitress in particular. Despite her wide and charming smile, that doesn't seem to be what's captivating this little boy. Meanwhile, it appears as though the waitress on the end is also staring as well. But is she staring at her fellow waitress's assets or at the little boy? Has he set off an extreme reaction of staring? That's a lot to capture in one quick snap of the camera. Politicians. While we may excuse away the antics of our beloved celebrities and children too young to know any better, we tend to hold politicians to a much higher standard of behavior. Whereas a scandal can enhance the fame of a celeb, it can spell disaster for the career of someone who is running for office. However, we have to remember that just because you're interested in politics doesn't mean you're not still human. Like the time when former presidential nominee Hillary Clinton totally got busted scoping out Christina Aguilera. Now, it's been a long time since Christina sang about being a genie in a bottle, but the way Hillary is looking at her may make her wish she could crawl back inside it. But much like Elton John staring at Katy Perry, we are just going to tell ourselves she was admiring the singer's outfit. Then there's another former presidential candidate, John Kerry. Politicians are always looking to help shape the minds and futures of young voters, but it looks like Kerry is paying more attention to the shape of this girl's appearance. Although in his defense, it appears that one of the girl's friends is doing the exact same thing. Maybe she spilled something on the front of her shirt. Woody Allen. At only 5 feet 5 inches tall, Woody Allen is often at just the right height to make any glances towards a woman look very awkward, especially if she's wearing heels. Although you would think that at his age and considering his long and successful career, he would be a bit better at being discreet. 81-year-old Allen claims that he's very shy around all of the beautiful actresses that he gets to work with and prefers to admire them from a distance. When he looks at them, he's just checking to make sure they're right for the role, but maybe that's just because he can't seem to keep his eyes to himself. He does claim to respect their acting abilities, but in more than a few photos, this doesn't seem to be what he can't tear his eyes away from. He seems to have a special appreciation for Scarlett Johansson no matter what gorgeous gown she's wearing. While we can't blame him for admiring her, he could show a bit more care in where his eyes linger. Allen claims that he was taken with Rachel McAdams' acting in Wedding Crashers, but it looks like to us it's more than her talent that's got his attention. Backs turned. Sure, it's bold, bordering on foolish to try staring at people from the front, which is why we found an astounding number of photos featuring people coming at it from a different angle. While the object of these people's stares might not even realize that someone is looking at them, bystanders, particularly ones with cameras, sure noticed. The gentleman in this photo clearly has no chill as he checks out a woman sitting at the bar waiting for her drink. His expression is so exaggerated that it's comical as his jaw is agape and his eyes peer over his sunglasses. It's a little over the top, especially considering they're clearly at the beach where there are tons of people in bathing suits. After paying big bucks for a concert, you'd think that you'd want to maybe stare at the musicians performing on stage, but one man was much more interested in what was going on in the audience as one woman made herself comfortable on her boyfriend's shoulders. These guys really need to work on their poker faces or at least closing their mouths when they're trying to check someone out. It's called being discreet, fellas. You can take a brief moment to blink now while we give you our trivia question. We know that staring isn't very polite, but how long can you really stare for? One man holds the record for the world's longest maintained stare. How long did he go without blinking? Keep watching for the answer. On the sidelines. For one young sports fan, the game taking place on the court just couldn't hold a candle to the beautiful woman that came bearing a tray of goodies. While watching a Wizards vs. Hawks basketball game, we were treated to the sight of a young boy who was absolutely caught checking out the attractive lady offering concessions. His raised eyebrows and open mouth leave no wonder what he's looking at, the Hawks cheerleader. Fans later identify the boy as the younger brother of Atlanta Hawks player Al Horford. We aren't sure if Horford was embarrassed or amused by his little brother's shenanigans, but he did seem to laugh about it on Twitter. He claimed the event was too funny and even tweeted a clip of the interaction between his brother and the cheerleader. Hopefully he'll teach his little brother to play it a bit cooler around women in the future. Talk into the microphone. Okay, so if you're sitting in front of a video camera with a microphone pointed at your face and a reporter asking you questions, you should really know that this is not the ideal time for your eyes to wander. But some people just can't keep it together even though they know that their every move is currently being broadcast to an audience. When Liverpool TV reporter Claire Rourke boarded the Liverpool team plane for an interview, she had no idea she'd have so much trouble getting her subject to smile for the camera. Liverpool manager Brendan Rodgers couldn't resist sneaking a peek at the reporter, and when you see his eyes dart around afterwards, it's clear that he knows he's been caught staring. Louis van Gaal is not any reporter's dream interviewee. The manager of Manchester United is known for his sarcastic attitude and isn't afraid to raise his voice if he doesn't like the question. However, he doesn't seem too angry at Fox Sports reporter Julie Stewart-Binks. When she interviewed him, he seemed more interested in her than the question she was attempting to ask him. Clearly, he was confused and thought he was supposed to be looking into the microphone instead of the camera. Equal opportunity. So far, we know that the majority of these photos have shown men as the ones who are caught ogling women. But turnaround is fair play, ladies, and plenty of women have been caught checking out men as well. The Boise State cheerleaders are used to a court full of handsome basketball players, and watching the game is literally in their job description. But during an NCAA tournament play-in game between Boise State and Dayton, something a bit unusual happened on court. Deshaun Pierre got pantsed right in front of the girls. As you can see by their faces, especially that of one cheerleader in particular, they were quite shocked by this. Although we have to say that she doesn't seem overly dismayed by the new development. And then we have this South Carolina trainer who was caught checking out wide receiver Bruce Ellington. We're sure she was just really concerned about his injured shoulder, and that's why she just couldn't help but stare at him. We assume she is covering her heart with her hand to prevent it from pumping comically out of her chest like it would in a cartoon. P. Diddy. We found it too hard to narrow it down to just one picture of P. Diddy being caught staring at someone. Maybe that's why he's so often seen sporting a pair of shades, so he can stare with impunity. But we're sure that the superstar would approve of having his very own entry and not having to share with anyone. Someone should tell P. Diddy that when you're wearing sunglasses, you can give a girl an ocular pat-down without having to move your head. That's the beauty of the design. Now everyone can see that you can't stop staring. Of course, at least that's better than when he sneaks a peek without them, since apparently he's not great at keeping a straight face. Jessica Biel seems blissfully unaware that P. Diddy is giving her the once-over. Even when she looks directly at him, he still just can't seem to tear his gaze away. We suppose it's not very surprising that subtlety is the one thing P. Diddy just can't do. Finally, with Emily Blunt coming in between them, quite literally, P. Diddy eventually manages to pry his eyes away from Jessica Biel. Swimming. Near or in the water seems to be a popular place for people to get caught looking just a little bit too long, and we totally get it. There's the sun, the surf, the sand, and all of those bathing suits. Here's one kid that is clearly very concerned about the tide coming in. He's undoubtedly remembering that the best thing to do in case of a riptide is to swim parallel to the shore. He's probably even working up the nerve to let that nice young lady in front of him know that as well. Just for her own safety, of course. This next gentleman wasn't afraid to take the plunge. Not only can he now stare without the woman he's staring at seeing him, but he's even free to throw up a thumbs up discreetly. Well, except for the person photographing him, of course. With all the bubbles and immense heat, we suppose there is no good way to check out someone underwater in a hot tub, so this guy had to stare from above the water, making it super obvious. Maybe he noticed that the skin of the girl in the bikini is looking a little red, and he's concerned that she stayed in the hot tub over the time recommended by the manufacturer. So how long did Steven's Stairmaster Stag go without blinking to set the world record? He held out for an insane 40 minutes and 59 seconds. Yikes, our eyes are watering just thinking about it. Okay, fess up. Have any of you ever been caught staring at someone either accidentally or on purpose? Tell us about your embarrassing story in the comment section. We promise not to judge you, at least not too much. At least you can take comfort in the fact that your awkward moment wasn't caught on camera. Hopefully. Thanks for watching our video, and don't forget to subscribe to The Riches for more great videos. We'll see you next time.